Well, hello, everyone. Hello, 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 hello. How are you doing today? My name is Mary Cronert, and I'm here on behalf of the Living Room Community Art Studio for another live stream Instagram artist chat. And today we have a special treat. Well, really, if I'm honest, it's a special treat for me because today's guests are very old friends of mine, people that I care about deeply, who've walked alongside me during some very difficult times in my life and helped me, definitely inspired me, helped me improve as an artist, as a creator. And they moved very far away from me, so I don't often get a chance to see them. So today I'm happy to be sharing them with you, with our community. So again, why do we do these Instagram artist chats? It's a way of me introducing you to wonderful folks in our community, not just the Durham Region community where the Living Room Community Art Studio is located, but our ever expanding community because of how we've been able to connect and continue connecting online. So it's a way of reminding you of who's out there, perhaps introducing you to new creators and makers and change makers that are doing such beautiful work for all of us in this creative life we lead. Today, I'm introducing you to Mark and Claire, otherwise known as Marchlight, the creative force of nature that is Marchlight. And I could describe to you just all the many things that they do. They are artists, they are actors, they are filmmakers, they are writers, they are, I can't even begin to explain all the many creative things they do. So what I'm going to do instead is invite you on into a conversation with us. Let's see. Let's invite Mark and Claire on right now. Explain who they are, what they do, and why they are so freaking amazing. And hopefully you can get a little bit of that inspiration too. Hi, hello, hello.
Look, it's working.
It is working. How are you?
We're so good. How are you?
I'm better now. It's so great to see your beautiful faces.
Oh my gosh. Okay, it's clear? You can see everything?
We can see everything. We can hear everything. It looks like you folks are in your studio. Is that right?
Yeah. We decided not to do the office with the nice natural light. Instead, we've got lights everywhere.
And except on our faces.
Yeah, except on our faces.
You look fabulous. And I love that now we can also see some of the work in your studio that you sell to folks. Look at that. Wow. That's so cool. Okay, so in my mini introduction, as always, I clumsily try to explain to folks who may not be familiar with who you are and what you do. But how do you describe yourselves as artists when people ask, like, who are you? What do you do?
Well, I guess most recently, what we say is I'm a wood turner and Claire's a wood burner, and we work together. So basically, I'm making the canvases for Claire's artwork.
No.
Oh, there's a disagreement already. Loving it. Okay.
There's disagreement already. No, he's an extraordinary wood turner. So he works on a wood turning lathe. And it looks so easy because it's quite meditative looking. And it has a lovely meditative hum. But it's not easy. And in the beginning, so we thought we started wood turning and wood burning. We thought we started in 2012, but I guess we started 2010. I just found that out the other day. We used to have this metal door of our workshop. And when Mark was sort of relearning how to wood turn.
When I was learning, because I turned my first bowl when I was in grade 8. I turned my second bowl when I was 40 some years old.
Wow.
So that metal door, you know those egg crates, like not the ones that those toppers that you put on your bed, they're like foamy and they
like the sound absorbing foam.
Yeah, sound absorbing foam. The door looked like that.
Yeah, lots of pieces flew off the lathe. As while I was learning how to do it, a lot of things would catch and go flying across the lathe.
Like missiles.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
safety first to anyone who's out there who might be
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
experimenting.
Yes.
Face
Yes.
shields, yeah, the
Yeah.
whole bit.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Safety
always
So,
first.
protect.
okay, so most recently, I noted that most recently, you're passionate about wood turning for Mark and wood burning for Claire. Now, I know that it's not everything. I've shared some of the images of the beautiful things you work with on our Instagram page. There is so much more that goes into that than just simply, turning something like turning something on a lathe. Like, I think one of the things I love about you both is that you've never walked a narrow path when it comes to making art or being artists yourselves, right? Agree, disagree?
You know, I love the romantic idea of it. Sort of trying all mediums of art, and I
Yeah.
love that romantic idea. I think it really boils down to making your living as an artist. Of course, you want to focus on what you're trained in, what you went to school in, and
Yeah.
but making your living and trying not to do too many odd jobs here and there, really focusing on the arts as a business to support your family, to pay your bills, your rent, everything. Sometimes a fixed medium is perfect and does the trick, but many other times you kind of have to branch out and see what your audience wants, and go with that. And I think that's mainly why we've gone through so many iterations of Marchlight, and of ourselves within the persona, I guess, of artist.
Yeah. Well, okay then. Can we go back a little bit, or back a long bit, I suppose? When were both of you first aware that you wanted to live a creative life? When did you realize that you were artists?
My mom tells me when I was about 4 years old, she got very frustrated with me because I was just being really goofy just all the time. And she said, "Why are you always such a clown?" I stopped and very seriously answered, "I like to make people laugh." And it's kind of started there. So it was always, and that led me into acting, and then acting led me into fight directing, and fight directing and acting led me into writing and directing, and blah 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 blah. It just went on and on. But in the end, it was what I realized was what I really enjoy is just making things, creating something, whether it's a character, whether it's a story, whether it's an image, whether it's a sculpture or a bowl. I just like making things.
Yeah. And what about you, Claire?
Well, I don't actually know. I think I was around 5. I've had these lifelong girlfriends. We were really lucky to be sort of grouped together from kindergarten on, and they remind me that I was, I mean, I was still quite talkative. I've always been very talkative, but I guess I was telling them since I was 5 that I wanted to work in theater. I wanted to be an actress at the National Theater, anywhere that would hire me. Yeah.
Yeah. And so where did that take you then? So you knew this at an early age. Claire, where did that take you?
Um, it took me to university. I was so lucky to have people who would tell me actresses aren't stupid. You go through this period in your life where you're like, why do I need math? Why do I need languages? Why do I need science?
Mm-hmm.
And to have those people in your life to say, well, because actors, performers are educated. They know so much because they continue to work hard at school. and they continue to listen to their teachers and their mentors, and they continue to learn. And it's not just how to draw a picture, it is angles and light, and it's math, it's language, it's perspective, it's anatomy. We've got a manual of ornithology just sitting there that's used all the time. So that's where it took me to University of Alberta, and then continuing studies, as one does when they're a little obsessed with learning, books and theater, film and art, and all these wonderful things you can learn about. It doesn't have to be inherent.
Well, that's something interesting that you reminded me of in our conversations leading up to this, that artists who, I think sometimes you're right, sometimes folks think artists are not very bright or they're lazy. And of course, my experience, including the experiences I've had working with you, the wonderful experiences I've had working with you, have proven just the opposite, that artists are continually learning, growing, pushing themselves, practicing new things. And because of that, we never stop. We're lifelong students in everything we do.
Yeah.
And that is such an important part of any craft you're focusing on in any moment in time, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It's a fellow friend, an actor who's, I thought he is a lovely, lovely, lovely performer. And I asked him, well, what do you do? Like, how do you be so good? Which is not a very intelligent question, but
it's an honest one.
Well, that was his answer. He said, I tell the truth. I look for it. I'm constantly mining for the truth of a color, the truth of a shape, the truth of an emotion, the truth of this person that I'm portraying. He's just constantly looking for that. And we get a lot of that through education, through learning, through, grabbing at all these delicious nuggets.
And there's a responsibility, as soon as you start creating something and it's going to be going in front of an audience, whether it's a theater audience or whether it's somebody viewing your work, you have a responsibility to give it your best, right? To put everything you've got into it and show that. Like, nobody wants to look at it sort of a half-assed thing. They want to see a full ass. they just want to.
Do they, Mark? Do they really?
No, but they want to see something that you've really done your best on. They don't want to see something that you just sort of tossed off to the side. They want something that you care about. That's how I.
And that brings us to, that can bring us to a lot of conversations, but the one I'll choose to focus on in this moment is that concept of what is your best and how do you discover that as a creator in this world, regardless of what modality, like expressive modality you're choosing. How do you find that? How have you found it?
Just I'll bring it down to wood turning.
Okay.
I started turning wood on a secondhand 30-year-old lathe with used tools that I didn't know how to sharpen properly. And I made chunky things and ugly things and rough things. And every so often I'd hit something and I'd go, oh, that's a bit better. Can I do that again? And it's just working and like just trying constantly to fix that one thing that wasn't working last time, or improve the one thing that you kind of got right, but you can do it better. And it's just it's by degrees, and along the way you go, this is pretty cool, this is all right, but I think I can do better. And it just keeps driving you forward, and
nothing's ever perfect. I don't
know.
if it's perfect, it's not live. If it's perfect, it's not like, I can't even remember a perfect performance. If a perfect performance isn't real, it isn't honest, it just doesn't exist. If it's perfect, it's not, it's in your bathroom, like in the shower. It's in the shower. You know, that perfect song is just in the shower. But when it goes out to people, you don't necessarily want it to be perfect. You want it to be the, you know, it's like that saying, as long as you try, you want it to be what you tried to, I don't know, offer your gift.
I think, well, you hit on it. I think when you said alive, right? Like there's something about perfection is something stale, stagnant, it's immovable, but there's something about, I think what brings people to respond to art, whatever kind of art it is, again, is that quality of aliveness in it, the quality of, it's telling me a story and I'm not sure where it's going and I'm not sure where it's going to take me along the way. So that, I think, is when I'm listening to you, that's what I'm thinking of, right? It's not a thing, it's not an object necessarily, it's something more than that. And that's kind of a quality of, it's a little bit scary sometimes, I think, as a creator, to allow yourself to go to that place, because it's just truly trusting your intuition and all of those people that you said walked before you, who guide you, who mentor you, who teach you along the way, trusting those voices as well and finding the balance with everything.
Yeah.
Does
And
that make
also,
sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The mediums we work in aren't perfect. I mean, working with wood, right?
Yeah.
Wood itself is full of imperfections, but those imperfections can make it more beautiful.
And one thing we neglected to mention, we do work with salvaged wood.
Yeah, we don't cut down trees for anything we do.
So salvaged wood is generally storm debris from our winters. It's something maybe that someone has dug up out of the ground. They present it to us and it's like this crazy monster-like thing that they're presenting, and we're like, we don't even know what this is. Is this a root ball? Is this like, we have no idea. So
sometimes we don't know what kind of wood it is. We're just like, people say, what is this? I go, it could be maple.
It's found. It's found wood. So when we do turn and burn, we deal with a lot of imperfections, a lot of we might make a beautiful little cup. You don't want to put liquid in because there's a hole like at the side or something like that. But for us, that hole is part of the picture. It's part of the
show and tell time.
Oh yeah. So this is a piece of a burl. It's big leaf maple, which is very popular on our island. And you can see it's quite a beautiful grain.
Claire, Mark.
But
wow.
There's like a big hole.
And that's just a natural hole. And when I was turning it, I had to keep that in mind, that was a potential catch, or that was a part that would be a little more delicate. So,
but it wouldn't be quite as magical if it was filled in, if we resined it or anything like that. For us, this is what makes it beautiful.
There are a lot of amazing woodworkers and artists that work with resin.
Oh my gosh!
And they do incredible stuff. But that's not what attracts me to the wood. I like to show what's there, as opposed to trying to fix what I felt was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
It's a conversation. That's what I'm hearing with what you're working with. Whether it's a human being or a piece of wood, it's a conversation between you and that partner in the project.
Yeah, and it's an interesting conversation as well with the people who come to the markets or come to the studio, and it's so nice. oh my gosh, we miss humans a lot.
Yeah.
It's so nice to just sit and chat about um, uh, these little pieces here and there, and hear their stories and what they see in the bowls and the pieces, and it always turns into a story about them.
Yeah.
And that
It's,
is pretty neat. You know, they might see a bird, or they might have recognized an animal that we've sort of put into the wood. And then all of a sudden they've got this story. It's lovely. It really is
it's
magic.
yeah,
Yeah.
looking at wood grain is very much like looking at clouds, right?
Yeah.
You see different images in it. Same thing with
Yeah.
wood grain, especially when you're getting into like crazy grain, like in the burls and that sort of thing, where it is like looking into a galaxy sometimes, or
Yeah.
yeah, you see faces, you see shapes, you see all sorts of stuff, and everybody has their own interpretation of it.
So that expands the conversation further. There's the work that happens between the artist and the material, or the director, and then the audience, bringing in the audience to it. I love this. Okay, so you've begun talking about where you live and the markets that happen there. Can we talk a little bit about that? Because for a long time, I met you in the big old Toronto city, and now you call BC home.
Yeah.
So there was a big change for you folks there, a big life move that happened. And I know, at least for myself, when I contemplate and when I've made choices like that as an artist, it's been really scary for me to think about what if I do this? What will happen then? Can you tell us a little bit about the decision to kind of take your life as creators across the country and like to try something new there?
Well, for me, I grew up on a farm. I grew up on a farm in Ontario, and I moved to Toronto to go to university and become an actor. And I thought, well, I'll be here for like 4 years, and then I'll move somewhere else and I'll do something. And I ended up staying in Toronto for 32 years. Working as an actor, working as a fight director, as a writer, director. We had our own, we shot films, we did that. We did a lot of different things while we were there.
Yeah.
But we reached the point that we wanted something else. And that childhood experience of being in nature and being on the farm was calling to me so strongly. I was going to Taylor Creek Park near where we lived in Toronto as a refuge. Like it was like having an oxygen mask. I would go there just for that recovery. And I realized I needed more of that around me. And the first time Claire and I came to Gabriel, we had been, Claire's family lives out on Salt Spring Island, which is near here, and we knew we wanted to be near them.
Yeah.
And so we started looking around, and then the very first time we came to Gabriola, it felt different. It felt like home, and we couldn't explain it. There was no outward reason for it, but it just felt right. And so we knew this is where we had to live, and we kind of made it happen.
Yeah, there were a couple of things that were also deciding factors. Gabriola has, the Gulf Islands have extraordinary artists, and Gabriola as well has a very, very strong artist community who have realized that by working in it together and supporting each other, it benefits everyone. So a lot of the artist-run things, they're plentiful in un-COVID times, non-COVID times, but they're run by artists and makers and creators, and so that is one of the reasons. And another is we had 3 cats and a dog that we wanted to move, but we didn't want to move them when they were over the age of 9, we decided. So that sort of
That makes
sped up
sense.
the process, and instead of being in our heads and being terrified for us, we sort of took that pressure off and just made it so it was on behalf of the animals. We put the pressure on the animals. Yeah.
Oh, so that was a huge catalyst in making that decision easier for you. We'll do it for the animals.
Yeah, we'll do it for the animals, and it has to be before this date. So, done.
Because even when you lived in Toronto, nature played a significant role in everything that you did. I mean, creatively, it was seen. I could see it in your films. I could see it in your artwork. Everything, there's a kind of a handmade quality that is informed by the natural world. And for folks who might be watching and curious, you know, there's still stuff like, you are still fabulous actors. You are still fabulous creators in my mind.
That was me posing. That was me posing.
It has to be said, you're very good at everything you do, which makes me hate you a little bit as well, if I'm honest.
Oh, Mary, we hate you too.
Oh, look at that. That's love, when you could admit how much you hate one another. Just that, yeah, it's that annoying thing of like, again, as you said to your friend, like, I'm like, why are Mark and Claire so good at everything they do? But I think
part of it is not feeling that. We don't feel like we're good at it. We feel like we're
no, we don't.
We're always trying to get better.
Okay. All right. So maybe we'll stay on that a little bit then. So let us into your secret, all us creatives, because I'm not alone. I'm seeing there's Lori Nancy saying they are amazing at everything.
Oh,
so
we paid her for that. We paid her. We'll pay you. We'll pay you for that.
Can we talk a little bit more then, before we come back to nature and its influence on your work? Can we talk a little bit about trying to get better and what that looks like? You touched upon it earlier before, but I think, yes, like when Mark was talking about doing something and just coming back to it and questioning, I liked that. How can I do it? Can I do that again? That process, because I think that, I mean, I like to think of it as very, well, I'm an actor, so I guess I'm a little centered in that. It feels like it comes from that practice of rehearsal, of constantly questioning and trying again. And it seems like you do that in your life as well. It's not just something that you do within your art.
Everything is about rehearsal.
Yeah, I love rehearsal. I love it. It's my favorite. And it's ingrained. After over 30 years, you can't run away.
Yeah.
But it's funny because it's often thought of as rehearsal is often associated with theater, which is great. And we never have enough rehearsal, according to me. But in other disciplines, it's super great as well. I mean, just the act of rehearsing for the market. We got the market coming up. Well, how do we set up our market stand? How do we tear it down? Can we treat it like a fringe show? And voila, you've got your tear down in 15 minutes, and your setup is 15 minutes too, if you punch it up a notch. So rehearsal is, to me, is for everything. And I think it's like that quick change where at first it seems impossible. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to get into this ridiculous outfit with all these layers. I even with help, I just can't. And I have 1 minute to do it, and there's no way. And then rehearsal, all of a sudden, it's just over that minute. You're almost there. And then by the time opening night rolls around, you're at 55 seconds mid-show. You can do this in like 10 seconds, no problem. And you're like, I am super bored. I gotta wait, you know. But that's all rehearsal.
Yeah.
Just yeah, figuring out a piece.
Yeah. Yeah. And getting the feel for something, because like with turning wood, you turn a piece of maple and you go, okay, that's the feel of this. So you go, okay, I'm going to apply that to this piece of arbutus, for example. And suddenly that's not working anymore.
Yeah.
I have to, I can work from there, but I have to change my angle. I have to change the speed. I have to, so it's really feeling as the medium changes how you need to adapt to achieve the same results, or achieve at least as good results.
And sometimes, just as in rehearsal, epic failure is awesome.
That's right. Yeah. Rehearsal is permission to screw up, to try things that don't work, to figure out what does work.
Once, a couple of years ago, Mark made a beautiful bowl. And I was so excited because I was going to draw one of my relatives, a mouse. And I drew this, what I thought was an amazing mouse. And at a market, this fellow came over to this bowl and he was like, this is the best. I love the bear you drew in this bowl. And that's great. He bought it. He's got his little bear. And I was just so thrilled. But, you know, there's that, wow, that's a fail. But it's a great one because he seemed very happy and he purchased the bowl. He loved
and there's
his
part of your artist brain at the same time as celebrating that moment is also going, oh, okay, so that's information. I got to go back to that drawing board and figure that out.
Yeah.
Why do my mice look like bears?
Yes.
I love this so much because it reminds me of something we talk about in the studio in the Art Hive life quite a bit, which is that creative humaning, in that sense of before you, like, as we become who we are, and do we ever finish becoming who we are? I don't think so. Like, it's all a process of rehearsal and practice and trying things, making choices and seeing where they take you. And because without those choices, without trying things or taking those creative risks, we don't, like, things remain the same, even though we might be miserable in that place.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, just finding that courage to take that creative risk, whatever it might be, whether it's, you know, trying something new, figuring out how to work with a new medium, or moving across the country, you know, to create a life for yourself that you've always wanted. Like, that is something really extraordinary, as well as terrifying all at the same time.
And how it feels to you isn't always going to be how it looks to the people outside. For example, for me, it looks like a minor change in the work that I've been doing, but switching from doing open bowls to doing a hollow form.
Oh, Mark!
Like,
wow,
that was a big step for me. Well, partly because suddenly I'm working on wood that I can't see. Right? I'm cutting the wood away. And I can't see it because it's inside that curve. Everything I've done before, I've been able to see. So now I'm going entirely by feel and by shape and that sort of thing. And so it doesn't look like a big deal for the people who are viewing this stuff.
It shouldn't.
No, and it shouldn't. I don't want people to see the work. I want people to go, oh, that's pretty.
I could do that.
But it was a big step for me. Right? And I'm the only one who needs to know it. Now everybody knows it, but no, I'm the only one who really needs to know that. But it's so you can't judge the steps you make on other people's reactions to it as well.
It also affects interesting things that you never really think of. Like when he's trying something that's new for him, we can't price it. So his first bowl like this,
it's gorgeous.
I can't actually price something like this, so I'd have to have it for myself. But there can't be a price on that, because there's so much education or learning as he's going, rehearsal as he's going, as he's building and creating, that it's really hard to sell at a price that reflects the actual work. Once he's made 2 or 3, once he's rehearsed it, and he realizes that he needs this chisel instead of that, I'm making this up, he needs you know, all the, it makes the work a bit more efficient for him and comfortable. Then I can say, oh, we can sell this and we can price it, because he's figured out his quick change.
You know what? That's something we've never talked about in the live stream before. That process of, I mean, and it speaks to how focused we can get sometimes on the product, the thing, rather than the process that goes into the product or what we create and how we share it with people. That it's not as simple as, I like this, this is pretty, or this is, you know, I'm going to charge this for it. It has, you have to go through an experience to be able to gauge the value of something and what the value is to you before you can even begin to ask someone else, an audience, to pay for it. That's a really interesting conversation.
That is, and pricing is a very interesting concept.
For any artist, I think.
Yeah, putting a price on art. We were so lucky. There was a woodworker at our the first market here on the Gulf Islands. It was in Chemainus, on Vancouver Island. And he came right to our table and he said, no, you can't price this way. These are not prices that reflect your work or mine as another woodworker.
Wow.
And he sat with us and helped us figure out, how do we price something that's fair to the people who are purchasing your work, but also fair to ourselves, other woodworkers. And that's a huge learning curve, a huge, it still is. Every time we get a new piece, we have to price it fairly for everyone. It just has to be. Because
not every piece reflects the work that went into it. There are some little tiny dishes that started off as great big blanks. Like they start off this big, but as I'm going, there will be a crack and I'll lose a chunk. So then I have to remove part of it. So sometimes these little tiny simple dishes took 3 times as long as a big ornate piece that just turned well.
Yeah.
But we can't have the price reflect that. We can't have, we can't make it an hourly wage going into that little dish, because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. It's a complicated thing. For the record, if folks want to go to marchlight.com, you can look at some of the beautiful pieces that Mark and Claire have out there, if I may encourage people. And I, for one, think they are priced very reasonably. They are beautiful works of art that are just, it's beautiful. And I know I'm a bit biased because I'm your friend.
And I just want to say, if you're on the website and there's something that you're interested in, you don't have to make any promises to buy it. But if you're interested in it, what we will send us an email, and what we'll do is we'll send a little video of it in action, because it's also hard to judge a 3-dimensional piece from a single photo. So we'll send you a little video of the piece in space, so you get a sense of the color and the shape and the image
in outer space.
In outer space.
In outer space.
That's a really beautiful relationship that you're building there too, with the folks who are supporting you, with people who are interested in your art. That is, what a beautiful gesture. That's amazing.
Sometimes we've made friends. We make friends. It's so nice. It's so nice.
Oh, well, this is lovely. Let me go back, because I know we're running out of time, and I feel like I could talk to you folks for like hours and hours and hours. Okay, so we're back in Gabriel Island. We're back in this place where artists have, support one another, where there's a strong community of creators. How does being in that beautiful space on an island inform the work that you do?
Oh, well, it's mainly the people. It's the people. It's the people.
But it's also the images that you do. We're surrounded, like we have so many birds on our small property, but because we're surrounded by trees, we have so many birds. And so it's constantly something we're pointing out to each other. And there's something magical about that. On a purely technical basis, being here, people are always coming by saying, this maple lost a branch on our property, or I've got this chunk of arbutus. I don't want to put it in the wood stove. Could you make something with it? So because we don't cut our trees to make our stuff, it is all salvage, and a lot of it is gifted to us.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, so people find out what we do. They appreciate it, and they go, oh, this looks like a cool piece of wood. I wonder if Mark and Claire could do something with it.
And there is a woodworkers guild here, and filled with incredible woodworkers, like unbelievable woodworkers that are supportive and kind and smart and extraordinary in their craft.
I think that's, and I know we've said this, but I want to just repeat that here on Gabriel, what we have found is such support from the other artists. There isn't a sense of competition, because as an artist, you realize what you do is different than anybody else. Even if somebody else is trying to do what you do, it's going to be different. And so you're like, other woodworkers are awesome to talk to, because we all have our own approaches and our own styles and things like that. So it's not a competition. We can only help each other, really.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And it's great.
Yeah,
that's a beautiful thing. Oh my goodness. And it brings it back to that idea of, again, each one of you will have a different relationship with what you do and the materials that you work with, and why you want to work with those materials in the first place. And that's the artist within each of you, which is fantastic. Now, I know we've talked a lot about turning, but I'm realizing that we haven't talked a whole lot about Claire's pyrography. And is that the right word for it? Pyrography.
Yeah, drawing with fire.
Pyro, fire, graphic, drawing, fire drawer.
That's awesome. Claire, the fire drawer. I love that very much. So, because I first knew you started with illustration, hand-drawn illustrations, and then the move to wood burning came later. Oh. See,
that's
folks?
apple.
Yeah, that's a piece of apple, and that was green turned, so we can, I don't know if you can tell, but it's not quite round anymore because it warped as it dried. But that's part of the joy as well. But then Claire did this.
Awesome too. That was really, really awesome to burn. That was just so much fun. And then you can see, like, this is big leaf maple again. Just such a wonderful. Where are you here?
Oh, gorgeous.
You can see the figure in that. It's like, super wonderful, fun.
What's it like burning that?
Sorry, what?
What's it like?
Well, I was just wondering if, like, what is it like to burn those pieces? If it's like drawing, is it, or is it? Oh, more. There's more. Yes, show and tell. I'm open. It's all good.
Okay, so it is like drawing on temperamental paper. The other one. Okay, so it's like temperamental paper. You can. I call her Buffy. It is.
It's a razor
Not
tip.
Veronica?
That's the transformer, and then it plugs into there.
Yeah. And I can control the heat. So, and with punky wood grain or any type of wood grain, you need to be able to control the heat if you don't want to sort of burn too far into the wood. Okay. And really, this is basically called a calligraphy tip, sort of like a soldering iron.
Yeah.
And I can draw. I just draw.
And do you find the same as Mark that depending on the kind of wood that you're burning into or drawing onto, that it has like reacts differently?
Yes. There have been times I've come into the house and Claire says, I never want to see elm again.
Yeah, I hate elm. I can't do elm. It does. And that is where this particular machine just shines, because I can adjust the heat quite quickly. So it can go from a cool heat to a very, very hot heat in seconds.
Yeah.
One thing that I think makes it easier to understand is the cedar. Where's the?
Yeah, show us more, please.
I'll find it for you.
Oh, he's gonna find it for me. Yeah. It is the cedar. Oh, it's right there. Okay, it's cedar. Hi.
Okay.
So you can.
Cedar is very soft.
Cedar is quite soft. But you can see that. Can you see in there that some of the grain burns better than the other bits? So to get a more even drawing where you're not burning so much of the wood, you can just skip over those bits of grain. That was a cat.
Hi, cat. Oh, hello, Elliot.
This is Elliot.
Because it's so different burning on top of those bits.
Those
right
ridges,
there.
I imagine. Yeah. So
You
you're
get
making a
better-
call with every piece.
Pardon, love?
Oh, it sounds like you're making a call with every piece that comes across you, like to see,
Yeah.
you know, how
And
will I create this image?
Every section of the wood. If one thing that super duper helps is a piece of sandpaper taped down. That is the best tool ever, because if you can just draw your image, just the outline briefly, just a quick little outline in pencil.
Yeah.
That helps so much. But then you really, really have to erase that pencil. Erase it. Erase the pencil, or else it will stain the wood when you finish it.
Okay.
So you erase it, and you need to keep your clean eraser. So you just erase your eraser on your, I have to say this because it's so important, on your piece of taped down sandpaper.
That is a top tip. That's excellent.
Top tip. It saves so much time and tears.
That's what I think. That sounds like one of those rehearsals, one of those practice moments where it didn't go as well as you wanted it to.
And the best part is if you get to, if you do an outline with your pencil first, you can kind of see where the wood is going to give way or where it's not going to burn, or all of that. You can already see by the feel of your pencil on the that's.
But I just want to say, Claire's wood burning has changed since she's been working in colored pencils as well.
Oh.
So she's
learning
to work in colored pencils with the shading and the layers of shapes and images to create an image has informed her wood burning. But I just want to show off some of her colored pencil work.
I think we're going overtime.
Well, they'll cut us off. They'll let us know. So, oh, wow.
And that was done with just colored pencils.
His name is Mr. Frog.
Beautiful.
He's a green frog.
This is also colored pencil.
Wow.
And you can see it's layer upon layer upon layer of color and just tiny, tiny, tiny lines.
I love you.
And then.
Anyway, I love him so much.
This is
oh, this
show them, and that's one of my favorites.
You put that on your Instagram
because it's beautiful. Like there is so much beauty in what you do, but you can also see in what both of you do. There's also so much love there. Like there's love clearly between the two of you, and in this collaboration that you have, but just love for that creative practice that you have found for yourselves. Okay, so Here's a question for folks who might be watching. Maybe they already know you, maybe they don't. Maybe they are at that stage in their own creative journey where they're looking to make some kind of change or try something new or take what they're doing to the next level. What advice would you have for them? Or what's, I hesitate to say advice or words of wisdom, but what would you like to share with folks who are out there?
Who want to make a big change?
Or who are looking just, I mean, I would hope that anyone, I think, okay, if I had a magic wand, I think I would love everyone to experience that love, that joy in what they're doing, in the thing that they're working on or committing themselves to in that moment.
I think one thing that, and this may sound overly simplistic, but remember that the medium you choose to work in doesn't define you, right? Who you are, if you're approaching any artwork honestly, is going to say something about you. But whether you choose to be an actor, whether you choose to be a writer, whether you choose to be a woodworker, that doesn't define you. It just is your outlet. The story you want to tell is determined by the medium you choose.
And as far as making the big changes, I think it helps to rehearse little changes. Sometimes we think of change as it has to be bad. I guess a lot of us are so used to if everything's going fine and then something changed and it turned awful. Just rehearsing that part to be, I'm going to make a little change that's kind of exciting, and I'm going to keep making little changes and see how exciting it can be. And that change can be a really great thing. Change can be so therapeutic.
And switching to a different form for a little while can just be a break, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it just makes your brain work a little bit differently. If you're working on trying to write a poem and you just can't find the right words, sometimes drawing a picture or just doodling, and suddenly you go, that's how I want to say this. And you go back.
There's Anne Tipper. I can see her little yes. And like, it's just like what Anne does. It's all about change. Like if we were to watch one of her movies, we would see change all the time. Like the change in the story, the change in the lighting, the change in, this is exciting. And it's what makes us want to surround ourselves with art. It's why we put up that new painting. It's why we watch that new movie on some streaming channel. It's because we need the change. We need the story constantly. And if the story doesn't change, then it's not a story. It's a formula. It's just a formula.
That's good, Claire.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Stories. Yeah, needs to be a story, not a formula. Or just if you work towards that place where you're feeling like you're immersed in the story, then I guess it can prevent us from feeling stuck and dull and dead in what we're doing. And instead of just doing a job, doing something that feels like a grind, it's something alive.
You know, Mary, it's really funny. I was talking with a wonderful artist here, Victoria Serafina, and we were talking about bringing, just getting out of that rut of work is, what I do is not good enough, or I just don't feel like getting my work out today because I'm scared or I'm tired or I'm just fed up. It's very funny how when we work for someone else, for instance, I have worked as an admin assistant for odd jobs. I've cleaned kitchens. Well, you know.
So
and you
many
name it.
artists know. Yeah, artists, we
Yeah.
do a lot of stuff. Yeah.
We do a lot of stuff. And it's funny that artists in particular, when they're working for someone else, whether they like them or not, whether they enjoy the work or not, they work their freaking asses off. They work so hard. They bend over backwards, literally, just to make others succeed.
Yeah.
Succeed. Yeah. And yet for ourselves, we, for some reason, we have this block, as though I don't know. Maybe I should get a job working as, blah, 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 because I don't feel it's worth it. But if we could treat ourselves as friends or someone that we work for,
Yeah.
amazing how it changes, We're never quite as positive about ourselves as we are about others.
I think you've given me something to really think about there, the relationship we have within ourselves. And if we kind of shake up that centering process to imagine we're our employer, we are employed by ourselves, then we actually have agency and we have choice to decide what kind of employer do we want to be towards ourselves, and how do we want to serve that employer. I like this area.
Yeah.
Oh, Claire.
Right? Because you're like,
Yeah.
if I'm working for Mary, I am going to work my ass off.
But I want to be
work so hard for Mary.
But I also want Mary to be kind to Mary.
Yeah. And so why wouldn't I work that hard for Claire? And if you would work that hard, which you have, for Marchlight, why wouldn't we work that hard for Marchlight? Or why, why, yeah.
I like this area. I'm going to keep reflecting on it. Oh, folks, it's been such I don't know, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you today. And by the sounds of, some of the feedback we're seeing, it seems like a lot of folks out there needed to hear this and needed to see you and just connect a little bit with what you have going on out there. Any final things you'd like to say? Any shout outs you'd like to share with people?
We love you. We love you so much, Mary.
Oh, we love you. I love you. The Mary loves you. That's weird. Oh, the love you have for what you do, where you are, and who you are, and the love you have for each other is just palpable. And I just thank you for sharing some of that with our community today. You can never have too much of that kind of loveliness. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We love you.
Oh, love you too. And we'll see you soon, okay?
Yes. Yeah,
Absolutely.
we will.
Okay, all right. But I'll let you go to enjoy the rest of your lovely day on oh, I almost said it wrong. It's Gabriola Island.
Gabriola Island.
Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thank you so much for tuning in. This is awesome.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, and wasn't that a lovely hour of loveliness? Just what you needed today to boost you. And I hope that you found Mark and Claire and what they do just as inspiring as I do. Please make sure to follow them on Instagram if you want your days to be filled up with lovely, fantastic images and excellent examples of the work they do. You can also visit them at marchlight.com to check out their work. And as I mentioned, if there's anything that you see that you like, they will send you a little film, a little movie to help you become familiar with it and build a relationship with that beautiful work of art as well. So what's not to love about that? But anyways, thank you so much to everyone who tuned in today and everyone who watches the live stream once it's been archived. It's so great to have you here. Until we can connect and create with one another again in person, I really, truly look forward to connecting and creating with you right here online. So stay safe, everyone. Keep creating and take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. Although I'm not the boss of you. Bye.